Warhammer the Old World is going to trounce the competition, be it Kings of War, Oathmark, or whoever the hell you want to put into the mix. Now that's not to say that the game will be better, I just think it's going to be more popular. So let me explain why. So I'm not saying that the games that I just mentioned will die off. Of course they're going to have fans, and there's probably fans in the comments, right, typing up how much they like the game, and that's completely fine. The games will stick around. But I see a lot of people, I think rather naively, thinking that Warhammer the Old World won't be very big and won't really be competition for these other fantasy games. I really don't see that being the case. For example, I think some of the community-led projects like Warhammer Armies and Warhammer the Ninth Age, as good as they might be, they're very likely going to be playing second fiddle once Games Workshop actually release their rules. And I'm not even saying that the games will be better. I think GW's rules have a very likely chance of not being as good as both of like Mantic, Oathmark, or any of the community-led projects. I'm not saying the game will be better, but as I said, I do think it will be incredibly more popular. A lot of people seem to underestimate the true power of Games Workshop. They are by far the biggest wargaming company out there pretty much. Nobody else really compares. And I know that stings a lot of players. Games Workshop have just increased their prices. Well, they announced that they are going to increase their prices, I think by 6% maybe at the end of March. That's not going to feel good. Games Workshop on a model for model basis are pretty much one of the more expensive companies out there. And to a lot of people that then creates like a bit of hatred, and I sort of get that. And a lot of people feel bitter about it and they don't want Games Workshop to do well. Unfortunately, they are the most popular. Through whatever means, they built up a reputation in a market that means that they can pretty much do what they want and be relatively successful. Warhammer the Old World, I'm not expecting to be any different. Warhammer the Old World will probably be the most expensive game that Games Workshop have ever produced. Well, maybe not the most expensive, but one of the more expensive games that they've ever produced. You're going to need so many miniatures, the prices are going to be quite high, probably higher than the other games because they know they're not going to sell as many, and a full army is likely going to be very expensive, and now 6% more expensive than it would have been. But still, they're on a different playing field than everybody else. They're just on a different stratosphere. A lot of mums and dads who maybe have no interest in wargaming whatsoever, they might be familiar with Warhammer. They see the stores in towns. They know friends of friends who play like with 40k or something like that. The familiarity with Games Workshop and with Warhammer the brand is so much higher than everybody else. Now personally, I would love to see other companies on the same level as Games Workshop. I do think they need competition, but unfortunately we're not there. And the Old World will be an example of that, where the domination they have in the market will, I think, quite clearly show. Now, that might not sustain. If, for example, it is so expensive that nobody can play, then obviously that will be a factor, although I'm not too sure about that. However, if the game is like really, truly bad, borderline unplayable, then that could also cause issues. However, when have Games Workshop produced rules that are truly that bad in recent years? Yes, I'm sure they hit some stinkers, and you guys can probably name some, but generally they're competent enough. I don't suspect that Warhammer the Old World will be any different. I think in the short term, when Warhammer the Old World comes out, the companies like Mantic and Kings of War, and indeed Oathmark, and maybe even A Song of Ice and Fire, I think they will take a short-term hit. And then it's really up to Games Workshop to see how they have presented their product. Is it something that people can latch onto? Is it something that will actually sustain in popularity? That's a big doubt, and obviously I can't answer that right now, right here. But in the short term, I suspect Mantic sales will drop, I suspect Oathmark sales will drop, and I think the Ninth Age and Warhammer Armies project and stuff like that, I do think they're going to become more and more niche the more that Games Workshop take over their own branding. They'll probably not actually properly go away for quite a while, because the rules that the community have written are probably going to be better than Games Workshop, sorry to say. But it's going to be really hard for them to attract players, because people will just be like, I'm going to go into the official tournaments, I'm going to just go and do that. We're getting new models, we're getting new interesting stuff, I might as well just do that. And then the community-led projects are probably going to fade away. Now what's interesting, I think a lot of you guys watching this, a lot of you probably already play other fantasy games, and you're just sort of casually interested in Warhammer the Old World. So to you guys, you might be like, this doesn't apply, I'm not interested in Warhammer the Old World as much as I am interested in Oathmark. I'm going to keep playing Oathmark to a great degree, and you probably will. But what I'm saying is Oathmark will get less of a look in from people who want to play a fantasy game once GW are in the market. If I was to simplify the hobby into two categories, it would be gaming and the hobby, right? Well, Games Workshop models are pretty much the best out there. There are some companies who compete, but they're pretty damn good, let's face it. So they're either going to be at the same level or not as good. And then when it comes to gaming, if you're gaming with your friends, the popularity of a game literally doesn't matter, right? You can just play with your friends, you're all good. That's how I was when I was playing with my friends Warhammer Fantasy when it was first out. We were just playing with proxy armies and not really giving a damn about any tournament scene or where I could get pickup games or anything like that. But if you're old like I am now, my friends are all doing different hobbies and stuff like that, I probably don't have a friends group to play Warhammer the Old World with. So I'm probably going to go to casual tournaments. Well, there'll be competitive tournaments. I'll just be playing very casually. Or I'll be getting pickup games at like Element Games or something like that. And for that to happen, I need the game to be playable. I need it to be relatively popular. Love or loathe the Games Workshop, that is one thing they provide. If I wanted to get a game of Warhammer 40k, which I have no army for, but let's just presume that I did, I could probably get a game at Element Games within the next week. The popularity of a game is indeed a selling point. And Games Workshop, you can pretty much guarantee, will bring a certain level of popularity. Therefore, it will pick up players that other games might not, just simply because it's more popular. It's sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I get that, right? But there's no easy way around that at the moment. We just have to do that. If you're like me and you need to find people to play with, then it'd be very difficult for me to pick up Ultimate games where I live. It's probably doable if I went on Facebook and stuff like that, sure, but it'd be very, very easy for me to pick up Warhammer the Old World when that comes out. Like, if I want to play that game, I'm going to find people who are playing that game. So the popularity will be high, and it will sustain higher than the rest of them, probably just because it's more popular. And Games Workshop obviously will be supporting it. The minute GW release a new army, everybody will be fawning online. They'll be like, oh yes, it looks incredible, I'm so excited to try these guys, they are amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to remortgage my house, but it's completely fine. Look at the quality, look at the theme, oh, it's so good. And the hype will come back. And if you look across YouTube, it's pretty obvious that Games Workshop does better on YouTube. You put GW or Warhammer in your title, it does better. Now, you can blame YouTube's algorithm, but the simple fact is, it's probably because people are more interested. You'll see a lot of content creators be like, oh, I'd like to do more non-GW stuff, but I can't because it doesn't get the views. Now, you could think, well, it's because they're not making videos, it's not getting the views. Well, the reality is, it's not getting the views because GW and Warhammer is just more popular. So you might not be happy with it, and you might prefer your favourite game. That's completely fine. But I think it's going to be pretty obvious once the game comes out that it's going to be the most popular fantasy war game out there. Like traditional fantasy. Maybe not, I'm not including Age of Sigmar in that traditional fantasy because that's its own sort of thing, but definitely like rank and file game, it'll probably be the most popular out there. I'm excluding historicals because I know absolutely diddly squat about them, so if they're more popular or not as popular, I don't care, don't tell me. However, as I said, I would love to see a company that's as big as GW compete with GW. I think Atomic Mass Games are like the closest, probably, because games like Star Wars Legion and Marvel Crisis Protocol, and obviously the new Shatterpoint when that comes out, they have like reasonable sized audiences. I could get games of them relatively easily. I would love to see them push and grow and be better, right? But I don't think we're there yet. So I hope you play your favorite game, and I hope it continues to exist and you continue to enjoy it and you're having a great time. But the Old World is going to be popular, like it or not, unless it's really, really, really bad. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to support the channel, you can become a Patreon. There is a link in the description. Otherwise, I hope you have a most beautiful, beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.